Hello friends, welcome back to your practice from beautiful Anacortes, Washington. Today's class is all about internal rotation of the hips. You don't need any props for this practice unless you would like to use a block or a blanket for some extra padding, but I won't be specifically cueing it. So we're going to get started laying on your backs. Lay down on your back, your knees bent, your feet flat on the floor. Feet are about as wide as your hips, maybe a little bit wider, and let your knees come to touch. So your feet shouldn't be wide enough that your knees either can't touch or that it creates anything uncomfortable in your lower back or your hips when you take this little bit of internal rotation. We tend to refer this to as constructive rest, coming from the Feldenkrais system, if you're familiar with that method of body work. Your arms can be anywhere that's comfortable. Start to melt into your breath. Letting your belly rise and fall. Then interlace your hands, turn your palms away from you, stretch your arms up overhead, take a big breath in, try to pull your armpits away from your hips here. When you exhale, hug your right knee into your chest, give it a nice little squeeze. Maybe a few little circles, roll out the ankle. If this is all going well, extend your left leg out long on the ground. Kick out through your heel so that you move your hamstring closer to the floor. And we'll take an easy twist. Hook your toes behind your left thigh, and then twist your right knee over to the left. This hook of the foot I find really nice as a way to prevent me from cranking on my leg in an effort to go a little bit deeper. And then come back to center, hug this right knee in one more time. You're going to slide your right leg all the way over the left. So we already have our eagle leg set up in the lower body. From here, hug both of your knees into your chest. Naturally, your ankles will move away from each other. See if you can minimize how much you let them go out to the sides and kind of squeeze your shins towards each other. They probably won't touch, that's okay. It's a subtle change on what muscles are being lengthened in the backside of your hips. And from here, you're going to keep your legs as they are, but bring them into a tabletop position. If this is too challenging, you can always put that left foot on the floor. Draw your low belly in towards the ground so your hip bones are wrapping towards each other. Don't allow any doming or poking up of your abs here. Press your hands on your right thigh. Push your hands into your thigh and pull your thighs up into your hands so you feel some deep core connection there. Ooh, already start to shake. And then release the grip, unhook your legs, interlace your fingers, stretch your arms overhead. We got a second side, breathe in. Breathe out, hug your left knee into your chest. And give it a few little circles. Circles through the ankles. This is so good before or after a day of hiking, like I've been doing here. Extend the right leg out long. And then we'll take the twist. Hook your left toes on your right thigh. Twist up and over to the right. Just a few rounds of breath. Allowing your hips to know where we're headed. Breathe in. Breathe out. Come back to center. Hug your left knee in. And then cross your left thigh all the way over your right. Hug both of your knees into your chest. This side might feel like a totally different experience. And that is certainly okay. As long as it's not causing us problems, little asymmetries in the body are nothing to worry about. But they are good things to notice so we can give our different body parts a precise prescription for what they need. All right, tabletop your eagle legs. Here you can probably squeeze your shins against each other. Interlace your fingers. Press your palms into your thigh. Press your thighs up into your palms. Feel that deep, deep belly connection. Bonus points if you start to shake. You're not shaking, you're faking. Release, uncross your legs, plant both feet down. Reach your arms overhead, take a big inhale. Exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Bring your knees as close together as your hips and your lower back will allow here, even if that means they're not in quite as tight to your chest. We naturally have a little less room if we don't let the knees go wide. Then rock and roll up and down your spine as long as that feels okay. If it doesn't, you can always roll to your side. Use your hands to help lift you up. Come onto your hands and your knees, tabletop position. Breathe in. Breathe out. Cat pose, push the floor away. And cow pose, arch through your lower back, untuck your tail, lift your chin a little. Push the ground away and rip the mat apart, arch your spine. Now find a nice, strong, neutral position. Take your right leg straight back behind you, toes on the ground to start. Firm up through the low belly, firm up through the back of the right leg, and then float off the ground. From here, you're going to keep your right knee, right toes facing the floor. You're just going to cross that leg behind you and find the floor outside the left portion of your mat. Pull your left hip back so you feel your right hip come slightly forward. Gentle, gentle stretch on this lateral hip. Now, when you breathe in, I want you to bring your right knee to your right armpit. And then take it back from where you were. Pause, breathe in. Breathe out, right knee, right armpit. Inhale, take it back. Exhale, bring it around. Now step your right foot outside your right hand. Swivel your back shin about 45 degrees. And just eyeball that. It doesn't have to be precise. Now your right knee and your right toes are pointed forward. Your chest is square. Your hips are a little off center, but don't turn them totally out to the sides. Start to sink your right hip as if it could slide past your right thigh. It doesn't go very far. If you're watching me, there's not a whole lot to look at. But you will feel some really deep sensation on that, mostly adductor magnus, maybe a little bit of high hamstring. And the key for that is not letting the right knee drift out to the side. Knee and toes are pointed forward. Now bring your left shin back onto the mat. From here, take your right arm to the sky for a nice twist. Again, you're keeping this right knee, right toes pointed forward, kind of squeezing in towards the midline. Roll your shoulders back, open up your chest. Not a whole lot of upper body cues in this flow. Take one more breath here. Now when you breathe out, right arm reaches back for your left ankle. Round your back like cat pose, deep, deep belly work. Inhale, take it up, open up. Exhale, round and reach through. Inhale up. Exhale, reach. Inhale up. Exhale, reach. Lower the right hand to the earth. Come back into your tabletop and then sit into a narrow child's pose. So my knees are just wide enough that I can get into the shape. My ribs have a nice little shelf to rest on here. Right, second side. Take the left leg straight back behind you, toes on the ground to start. Firm up through the belly, firm up through the left leg, and then float your left leg. Take it across behind you, find the ground, and then do your best to swivel the hips, left hip forward, right hip back, because they want to turn towards the side to make it a little less sensational. Take a breath in. When you breathe out, left knee, left armpit. Inhale, take it back, turn the knee and the toes to the floor. Exhale, bring it around. So there's very little movement anywhere else. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, take it back. Exhale, knee to armpit, and step that left foot outside your left hand. Swivel the back shin about 45 degrees, give or take. Try to keep your upper body square, just like tabletop. Hips are opening just slightly. Left knee squeezing in towards left armpit. It feels like I'm untucking my tail. There's not a whole lot of room to move. Letting the left hip kind of slide past the left inner thigh. And it really does not move a whole lot, but any effort to untuck the tail and do that gives me a lot of sensation, especially on this left side. I have a little bit more difficult time with internal rotation of the hip on the left. And square up your back leg. Take your left arm to the sky, breathe in. Roll the shoulders back, open the chest. Keep that left knee squeezing in, don't let it drift. When you exhale, reach under and across 3 times. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, reach through. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale up. And then lower the left hand down. Sit back, child's pose. Big breath in. And a breath out. All right, before we get a little deeper into our flow, we have some hip cars in front of us. Half hip cars, or even quarter. So set yourself up, laying on your side. I'm on my right side. 90-degree angles, hips, knees, ankles. And then drive your top knee down into your bottom knee. Lift your foot as high as you can. So the direction my knee is facing, the top of my kneecap, is changing. When I lower my leg down, oh, I got a little cramp there. When I lower my leg down, my knee is facing straight ahead. When I lift the foot, my knee is starting to face the floor, and I'm squeezing that top knee into the bottom, so I get some really good inner thigh work here. And lower it down, and lift it up, and lower it down, and lift it up. Hold this one. So you're going to keep this internal rotation. You're just going to slide your leg back as far as it'll go. Now, without letting the knee turn open, getting external rotation, I'm going to be pretty limited in this position. That's okay. I'm not going much past a straight line from my hip to my knee to my shoulders, but the glutes are on fire. Also, the outer hip is on fire to hold your leg in place. Now, low belly in. Don't change the position of your lower back. Bring your knee tight into your chest, trying not to round through the lower back. And you can see where I stop. If I come further, then I'm going to let my spine round, and we're going to keep it out of that position. And then take it back one more time. And then bring it back to your starting position. Let's switch sides. Just a little bit to wake up the hips here before we get into more standing work. You can prop your head up in whatever way is comfortable for you. Hips are stacked, core is engaged, spine is not going to change position. And this top hand can be a little bit of support. Drive your right knee down into your left knee. Lift your foot as high as you can. You see I got a lot more range on this side. And then slowly lower it down. And then lift it back up. And lower it down. And up. Down. Last time you lift, you hold. Now keep this internal rotation as long as you can. Take it straight back. At a certain point, you can see my leg is now parallel with the ground. That's okay. I'm still feeling that inner thigh work to keep me from opening the knee up towards the ceiling. From here, bring your knee into your chest as far as you can go without letting the low back round. Be honest, be precise. And then swing it back behind you. And bring it back to its starting position. Rest it down. Fantastic. Come into a tabletop position once again. A couple rounds of cat-cow. Now from here, knees can be all the way together or they can be slightly apart. It kind of depends on both your flexibility and just the size of your limbs relative to your pelvis. So find a distance that works for you. Here in your tabletop position, we're going to go back towards the child's pose, hips towards your heels, but I want you to move your heels out to the side as you go. So I am going to find a little rounding in my back, and that's okay. I'm going to pause right here. And then I'm going to come forward, bring the toes to touch so the knees are apart or all the way together, depending on what you're working with. Mine are about 3 inches apart. Take the knees wide, sit the butt back as far as you can go, and then come forward, bring the toes to touch. You got one more like that. Toes go wide, hips slide back. Come forward, knees together. Very nice downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, pedal out your heels. So in general, if your knees are bent and you have more of a hip hinge, you're going to have access to that internal rotation at the hip until you hit a certain point, and then you'll run out of room. You get external rotation and the knee goes out wide. So you can see my heels are high, my knees are softly bent, and I'm thinking about that work of feet being wider than hips, even though they're in nice parallel lines. That's going to give me access to untuck the tail and lengthen the hips up away from my shoulders. Even with knees bent, you could work your heels closer to the floor. Woohoo! Get some nice calf stretching. Nice. Lift your right leg to the sky. Just for fun, bend your knees, stack your hips. Get some external rotation in there. And when you exhale, hug your knee into your chest. Inhale, three-legged dog, stretch it up. And then step your right foot all the way between your hands. Drop the back knee. Inhale, come up. Exhale, hands to your heart, and then sweep your arms behind you. Open up the chest. Roll the shoulders back. Keep the belly in, the ribs down. Low belly in and squeeze your left glute. So that's going to give me some hip flexor stretch. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, lower the hands to the earth. Step back, downward dog. Inhale your left leg high. Bend your knee, stack your hips. Take a breath. Exhale, curl knee to nose. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, knee to nose. Step through low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Drop the knee, rise up. When you exhale, hands come through to your heart and then down by your sides. Open the chest. Low belly in, tuck the tail. Ribs down. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, hands down, step it back. Downward facing dog. Send the right leg high on an inhale. Bend your knees, stack your hips open. Breathe in. Breathe out, curl your knee to your nose. Three-legged dog, stretch up. Step the right foot through, drop the back knee. Inhale to come up. Exhale, hands through your heart, open the chest. So same thing, just a little faster. Inhale, reach up. But now we're going to change it. Take your left elbow to your right thigh for a twist. Push your arm and your leg against each other. So it feels kind of counterintuitive, but this position is giving us a little internal rotation and access to the stretch on the outer hip. So think more about pushing your arm against your leg to bring it closer to the midline. And if you really want to get fancy with some cues, your right hip is pulling back, but your right knee is lengthening forward. Like you could actually make your thigh bone longer. Inhale to come up. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step back, down dog. Straight into the other side. Left leg high, bend your knee, stack your hips. Inhale. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, stretch it up. Step it all the way through, low lunge. Drop the knee. Inhale, rise. Exhale, hands to your heart, chest opener. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, take a twist. About 5 breaths. So again, you're pushing your arm and your leg against each other, but go a little more with the arm. And then think about your left hip pulling back, but your knee is lengthening forward somehow. Low belly in. It's almost like you're trying to keep your thigh and your belly away from each other, even though they're constantly moving closer in this pose. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, hands to the earth. Step forward, fold. You're going to separate your feet a little wider than your hips here. Now, this is a little funky one, but you're probably practicing in the privacy of your own home. So here we go. With your knees soft, belly close to your thighs, take your hands, reach around behind you, and grab your upper inner thighs from the insides. Now from here, you're going to squeeze your ankles towards each other, but then you're going to manually use your hands and spin the flesh of your thighs in, back towards the back of your space, and then even widen them apart as you squeeze the legs towards each other. Lower legs squeezing in, upper thigh bones widening apart with the assistance of your hands. And then keep that Release your hands to the earth. So you use the assistance of your hands at first, and then you try to figure out how to use your muscles to make that happen. Hollow out through the lower belly, make some space. With your feet hip distance apart, I'm going to bring mine just a little closer together because they were wider. Sit low into a chair. And I know this is going to be a what not to do, but your feet are wide. Mine are about 5-6 inches apart. You're going to bring your knees to touch. So it's a little awkward chair pose. Again, if this causes any pain, by all means, don't do it. Drive your heels down, squeeze the knees together, hollow out the belly, and sit back like you're going to sit into a little kid's chair, not a bar stool. Then separate the knees, drive through your legs, stand up, breathe in, fold forward and breathe out. Inhale halfway, exhale to fold. Inhale, stand up, bring your left leg with you. Now from here, we're going to take it into an airplane pose. Hands on the hips, it's going to help with balance. Front knee stays bent. Flying leg, super strong. Now center your weight over your foot so you feel it driving down into your heel, not so forward into the toes, okay? From here, you're going to open up your hips, kind of like you're going to an airplane. Don't worry about how much you open the hips. And then square the hips. Keep this left hip moving towards the floor. So you're actually rotating the other direction towards the right side of your mat, getting a little stretch on this right glute. Then we open it up. Woo! Little balance challenge for you today too. And then one more time, roll the left hip down and keep rolling it down. So go a little further than level. Ooh. And then level yourself off. Bring your left knee into your chest. Lower it down. Shake it off. Let's do that on the other side. Stand on your left foot. Bring your right knee into your chest. Swing it back into your airplane with your hands on your hips. Knee is bent. Center of gravity shifts a little bit further back, so it's more over your midfoot and your heel. That's going to help you access this glute. And then turn your hips open like you're going to half moon. Roll this right hip down. And then keep going so you turn the hips towards the left. You should feel that stretch on the left glute. And then roll it up. Now what I'm working to do is not let the left hip drift forward at all. I'm just rotating the pelvis over the standing femur. Really want to feel the stretch and the work in this outer hip. Level yourself off. Bring your right knee into your chest. Lower it down. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Eagle pose. Sweep the arms up. Take the left leg on top so the left arm goes under. Squeeze the shins. Now, usually there's a double wrap cue here of your ankle around your shin. I actually prefer to keep it uncrossed and just squeeze the ankle into the shin because that actually makes me work a little bit more. So I keep that rotation of the thigh really active versus letting the hook of my foot keep me in the pose. Little untuck of your tail as you sit your butt back. And then unwind, inhale, stretch up. Let's do the other side. Take the right arm under. The right leg goes over this time. Squeeze the shins against each other. Weight back in your heel. Untuck your tail as you slide your butt back. Notice I didn't cue the upper body. There's a lot of different versions of that. But since this is a short focused class on internal rotation, we're not going to dive too much into that. Unwind, feet down, stretch up. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Step the right foot back. Step the left foot back, high plank to downward facing dog. Take a breath in and a breath out. Bring your right knee underneath your chest. Slide the left leg back so it's not pigeon. Notice I have my right hip directly over my right ankle. Low belly in, squeeze your left glute. So I've got a really good hip flexor stretch back there too. And then start to walk your hands forward. Zip up through the lower belly. Try to lift it off your right thigh. Now, if this is going well, we're all going to do this together. You're going to swing around. This left leg is going to come forward. Now, my right leg, I had my hip directly over my heel. I'm going to sit on my hips and slide the ankle out to the side. So the front view looks something like this. Now, my hips are very off kilter here. The right hip is definitely not on the floor as much as the left. That is okay. If you have pillows, if you have props, you could even yourself out or stay right here. Firm up through the straight leg. And then from here, I'm just going to bend forward. Untuck the tail. You don't have to go very far because I want you to keep that nice neutral spine. I'm going to come back into the position that you're facing. Also, so you can see what my spine is doing. If you go too far, you're going to round into the shape, and that's okay. That would be really nice posterior chain work for your hamstring especially. But for today, I want you to think, untuck the tail, pull your low belly forward. So your spine moves as one unit. Still getting a hamstring stretch on the front leg, but I'm really more focused on this inner thigh of the right leg, the bent leg, rotating towards the floor. And then sit back up, swing your right leg around, however you want to get there, downward facing dog. Bring your left knee forward, sit your hip on top of your foot as best you can. You might need a blanket under there if you have ankle issues. Put it under the shin and let the foot be on the mat. It's just less of an angle here. Pull the lower belly in. Nice hip flexor stretch to start on the back leg. Then you're going to lean over on your left hip so you can swing the right leg around. Reset this left leg if you're like me and you came out of it. So we have some internal rotation on the left side. Now my inclination is to go more over to my straight leg here. So I'm really putting some effort into sinking this hip down. Again, much more difficult for me on this side. Just going to breathe my way through it. Firm up through the right thigh. If this is going well, you can always stay right here. This might be enough sensation for you. Or you start to untuck your tail, hinge yourself forward. Think left hip moving towards the floor, left inner thigh spiraling towards the floor. And then lean over to your right leg. Swing the left leg out in front of you. Give them a little shimmy, a little shake. And from here, bend your knees, plant your feet. Hands can be on the backs of your legs for a little support. Breathe in. Breathe out, tuck the tail, round down. Go really slow. Belly to spine, no doming. All the way to the floor. Stretch your arms overhead, extend your legs long. Big breath in. Breath out. Rest your arms by your sides, Shavasana, rest. You're more than welcome to pause the video and stay in your rest for as long as you wish. Otherwise, take an inhale and an exhale. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Bend the knees. Roll to your side. Use your hands to help lift you up. Find a nice, comfortable seat. Breathe in, stretch your arms up overhead, sit up tall. Breathe out, hands come to your heart. Inhale. Soften the shoulders, exhale. Bow your chin to your chest. Rest your hands on your thighs, lift your chin, open your eyes. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'll see you next time.